Hey everyone, excited to be back for this week's edition of Frequently Asked Questions for Commercial Real Estate. In today's video, what I wanted to do was talk about a topic that is extremely pertinent, in particular if you're looking to seek out developments, or commercial real estate developments, I should say. And that is, what are development incentives, and then how can you actually find these incentives so that they can actually benefit your project? So in today's video, we're going to explain some of the potential benefits that are out there in your municipality and really for your state and on the national level as well. And then we're going to explain how you can then leverage those programs to potentially make deals work as far as developments are concerned. So before we dive this video, I would greatly appreciate if you like and subscribe to this channel. It really does make a difference in the YouTube algorithm and ensures more and more people can hear this message and learn about the many facets of commercial real estate. So now you've done that, go ahead and like and subscribe below. Let's go ahead and dive right into this episode. All right. So as far as a starting point, I've actually had the privilege and opportunity to work with many different developers, both that are local to here in Louisville, Kentucky, and then also regionally. And I've learned a lot through my experiences working with them. And then myself, I'm also taking on my first development project here locally as well. So I'm starting to learn on my own personal experience as well, the different opportunities that are out there. So today we're going to talk about ways that you can identify development incentives and opportunities for you. And then we're going to explain how to actually get some of those opportunities under your belt. So to start off with, what I highly encourage people to do is if you find a development opportunity within your city, the first step should be to reach out to your local government. Typically, regardless of the size of the city, oftentimes each city or municipality will have its own economic development branch or arm for the city. And so a lot of times these entities will have incentives for small business owners and developers that are interested in revitalizing areas of town. So if you yourself have an economic development arm in your city, I highly encourage you to reach out. Some of the programs that could be available are lower interest loans that have more lenient underwriting criteria. There may be things related to tax abatements. So there may be, if you invest a certain amount of money within the building, you may be able to get an abatement on taxes for that building. There may also be tax freezes, meaning that, if you buy a building for X amount of dollars and you invest XYZ amount, they'll freeze the assessed value at the amount you bought it and not reassess you to the higher amount based on the improvements. And so those are just some of the incentives that are available here locally in Louisville, Kentucky. I'm sure if you're in any a city of any size, there's probably similar types of incentives and maybe even a bit more incentives depending on your local government and how pro-business they are as well. So the first thing you need to do is look up the local economic development arm for your city, whatever the name is. You can search for it online and then reach out to them and start trying to see if you can get a conversation with them, maybe get a one-on-one meeting for however long you need to happen, and then get an idea of what the requirements are for the different incentives on a local level. So that's number one, is to reach out to your local government economic development arm to determine what opportunities are available for you. Number two is if the project is of somewhat significant size. It doesn't have to be a massive project, but if it does have some legs to it, it may be wise to consider reaching out to the state to determine if there's any incentives available. Just as an example, the Kentucky Cabinet for Economic Development here in Kentucky, they work with business owners all the time that are looking to either relocate their businesses to Louisville, to Kentucky. And also they offer incentives for job creation in particular for those businesses that are establishing here in the state. And so, if you do have a project that has some significance as far as size, it may be wise to consider leveraging those experience or those programs. As I said before, reach out to your state's economic development cabinet and inquire about those different programs. I can speak as far as locally here or in Kentucky. There are tax credits available for people who are bringing manufacturing jobs to Kentucky. So if you hit a certain number of jobs at a certain pay grade, they'll be able to offer you tax credits to occupational license taxes. There also are sales tax incentives. So if you buy machinery that is focused on manufacturing, if there's a manufacturing component to the equipment that you're buying, sometimes what they'll be able to do is to abate the sales tax that you pay on that equipment. And if you're buying hundreds of thousands, if not more, in dollars of equipment, that can be a sizable amount of savings from a tax standpoint. And then also there are TIFs is what they're known as. There are local TIFs and there's state TIFs as well, which are essentially taking the future benefit of tax revenue that the state would receive based on different development projects, and then crediting them once the project's complete. So it helps as far as making sure that the project can be economically feasible, in particular if it's one of significant size. Typically TIFs, you're at least at our local level, unless you're hitting a project size of at least $10 million, a lot of times it doesn't necessarily make sense to go that route. But if it is a project of that size, it's very well worth exploring the option of leveraging, different TIFs either locally or on the state level. So that's number 2, is to reach out to your state's economic development arm, or Kentucky cabinet. In this case, it would be the cabinet of economic development, to see if there's any incentives to leverage. And then finally, number 3 is this is primarily one that is focused on historical preservation. So if your city is located in an area that has a lot of historical buildings, maybe these buildings are on the National Register, then you can leverage historic tax credits, which can be very, very beneficial if you're willing to invest a sizable amount of money into renovating the projects. Typically, these tax credits can be significant, and sometimes in excess of 25% of the project cost. So it can be quite lucrative. There is, a long process to get those credits. There's a lot of checks and balances in place to be able to do so. But, leveraging the expertise of an expert who is well-versed in that can actually help you immensely. So I would highly encourage you to reach out to people, in particular, attorneys or any other professional that has gone through this process quite a bit. And in particular, if your building has historic significance, it may be wise to consider this as well, because it can be one that enables you to make the numbers work as far as some of these development projects are concerned. So as we've explained, city incentives, reach out to your local economic development cabinet to get an understanding of what programs are out there. Reach out to your state level, in particular if the project is of significant size and you're going to be bringing jobs to the area, maybe worthwhile to execute a search and reach out to your cabinet of economic development for the state. And then finally, consider if the building is located in a historic district, or the building has some sort of historic significance that can be verified, and may be worthwhile to pursue historic tax credits to determine whether or not it can be worthwhile. So hopefully you gained some value from this video. Obviously, there's a lot more potential opportunities out there as well. If you guys have any that you would like to share, feel free to leave them in the comments. We're always looking for different opportunities for my clients, and also in the future, me taking down projects as well. I'm always looking for opportunities to leverage programs that could help in these development efforts. If you guys like this channel, please like and subscribe. It makes a huge impact on our ability to reach a broader audience, and we would greatly appreciate the support. Thanks again so much for tuning in, and we'll see you all next time.